Good evening and welcome to Your Time to Shine. Your Time to Shine is a radio show devised to help you explore your own divine gifts. Good evening. I am your host, Julie, and Darlene is off tonight. But with me, we have fantastic guest host, Shauna from Nature's Keeper. We always love having you on the show, Shauna. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Of course, I always love being on the show. It's always fun. So thank you.
So tonight, Shauna and I want to talk to you a little bit about, hey, I know you, connections. We want to talk about spiritual connections, energy connections, that feeling. So Shauna, have you ever been in the store and you look over at someone and you go, I swear I know that person, and you spend your entire time shopping trying to figure out where you know that person?
Oh, yes, so many times. And then sometimes you figure it out later, and then other times you don't figure it out at all, and you're like, who is that person? And sometimes you're really drawn to that person, or other times you're just like, oh, I don't know, I'm not drawn to that person. It's very interesting, right? I'm sure you've had that happen, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, in my job, I recently changed jobs. Oh, well, I guess it's been 3 years ago now. It hasn't been quite that recent. But I remember the first time walking into a meeting and I zeroed in on this gal that was sitting at the conference table. And and she has mentioned to me too since then that there was just something about me that she zeroed in on, and it was the same thing with me. I zeroed in on her. But I'm sure in some other lifetime we were friends or sisters, or who knows? One of us could have been the man in the relationship, and we could have been married, right? We just don't know. But for some reason, we were drawn to each other. So it's a really interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Some sort of past life connection. It'd be interesting to explore that. And sometimes, it's good to explore it, and then other times it's like, well, do you really need to know? I think so many times people invest so many times into trying to figure things out, and sometimes it's okay to figure it out, but sometimes do we really need to figure it out, right? Do we just need to just go with it, right? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes you don't really need to know. You just know there's that connection, and you just need to go with it. Mm-hmm. So before the show, you were just telling me a little bit about a story that's something comparable to this that you have just been has developed in your life. You want to tell everyone a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's a really cool thing. So I was adopted, and so I just did one of those DNA things, and it was, I know who my biological mom is, and so I've always wanted to know about my biological dad, but there was never any information. So on this ancestry thing, it matched me with somebody that is a potential relative of theirs, so I don't know if this is for sure, my bio dad, might be a good possibility, with, everything kind of might add up. So I'm going to find out more information as I talk to this other relative. But it's really interesting because I've always wanted to know, and what's really interesting is this person actually passed away, so it's stirring up all these emotions, oh my gosh, I never got to met them, it's stirring up all these emotions in me, and then, it's kind of around the same area where I grew up, so it was oh my gosh, did I run into them before? Would I have known that it was them? And it's just, making you think of all these things, and it's really, surreal. And so, being adopted too, it makes me feel like I found that missing part of me that was missing to kind of find this little connection. It's that missing little link. It was just shoo. It's because there's, I don't know how to explain it. When you're adopted, there's always this missing part of you. It's not that your family is any less, but there's just this connection of things about you that might not always make sense. So I'm excited to, talk more to their family to find out, to see, if, that really is the case, that he was my father. There's a picture on there, and you can see kind of a similar similar. You can definitely tell we're related. So I'm interested to find out more. It's really exciting. It's surreal. It's like, thank goodness to all these DNA websites, right? Because you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always wanted to do that too. Is back and look and see who your ancestors were. I find it fascinating, really fascinating.
Oh, it's so interesting. It gives you like a breakdown of like a percentage of like this percentage of this and this, and your ancestors probably came from here, and it's really interesting. It's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and and too, we've all been in this life before. No matter how many times we have done this life, we may have come back as a different person, but we've all experienced this life at least once before. And so that idea and that feeling of looking at someone and going, I think I know you from somewhere. It's a very common feeling, really. So if you really stop and pay attention to it for the people around you, you might be surprised who might, pop up and you go, wow, I think I know that person. So It's very, very interesting.
It is very interesting. If we were drawn to somebody right away too, there's like that instant thing, and you're like, wow. It's like you feel like you're so comfortable with somebody. That's really interesting too. So.
Oh, absolutely. And you also that opposite feeling, like you were saying, I think I'm just going to stay away from that person. I get, probably you too, I get an instant sensation or feeling about somebody when I run into them. And it's really interesting. And I know my husband always says, oh, give him a chance. And I'm like, there's just something about their energy. Just,
yeah.
different.
It is, right? Yeah, there's this person I met recently at this one thing I went to, and it's like, there's just something about him. I'm like, yeah, they're probably a nice person, but just something I'm just like, ooh, I don't know. Just something about their energy rubs me the wrong way. And I'm like, I can't put my finger on it, but I have to trust whatever that is, right? I'm like, right. Okay,
Right, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, okay, I'm sure they're nice, but it's like, okay, well, I don't know.
Right. Well, we have a caller. Are you ready for some callers?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, it's so cool.
Absolutely. We have April in Long Island, New York. Welcome to Your Time to Shine. How are you this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. What can we help you with?
I was just wanting to connect to my mom.
That's interesting is like right as I tune into your mom, I get like, I feel like I'm tasting bubble gum and I'm like blowing bubbles. I see like all these bubbles, and it's just like she like helps you to get the stickiness out of your life, whatever that is, like things that are stuck. She's like, no, that gum's not sticking to the bottom of the shoe. It's going to blow a bubble, and it's going to be massive and expansive. And I feel like it's just a big bubble of love that she sends you to, just a great, pure, pink energy that I see around her, like pink roses, and just the smell of just, rose water, and just, I don't know. Yeah, it's very cool.
She has, I'm picking up, she has very big energy, and I'm picking up on the same thing that Shauna just said. It's funny because I saw it more as a shield, right?
Wow.
Rather than like a bubble, but the same idea, right? It's that motherly protection. It's that wrapping you in the love and wrapping you in that protection, so that nothing can harm you. But I just feel like her energy and her love is so enormous. I mean, it's really hitting me. It's pretty spectacular.
I do feel it every day. I do feel the protection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She wants you to know that she's okay, that you can let go and stop worrying about her.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel that that's really tugging at her. She's kind of showing me like she's like, she's being pulled down. So, and not necessarily that she is being pulled down. It's that she's showing me that you're being pulled down. And you need to let that go, release that. So I don't know if there's a little piece of you that hasn't been able to let go, or you're still grieving, or but she wants you to know that that she is okay, and that you most definitely are safe. Shauna, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, definitely that you're safe. And I feel like she wants you to do something in her honor. So whether it's like get like a wind chime or like a statue for outside, or plant a flower that you can look out your window, just something I feel like she wants you to do, like an additional thing, like in her memory, just to remind that love is always ever growing inside of you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Now we have Crystal in Austin, Texas. Crystal, welcome to Your Time to Shine.
Hello.
Hello. What can we help you with tonight?
How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Good. I was just wanting to see how I have a sister that passed, and wanted to see how, I don't know if she could tell me how she's doing, or I don't know what to ask.
Shauna, I don't know what you're seeing, but I am seeing her like dancing and grooving, and she's moving her feet and her body, and she's just feeling fabulous.
Yeah, I feel like that she's like also sending you down, like, this is going to sound crazy, but like sparkles of like raindrops, and all these raindrops coming down on you. And it's fun raindrops. You know how people are like dancing in the rain? She's like, I want to wash away all your sadness. She's like, dance it out. Just dance it out. And remember the fun that we had together, that I'll still be a part of the fun that you have. It just is in a different way. She just wants you to wash away that sadness, even though it's so hard, because of the bond that you guys shared. It's still there. It's just a different type of connection, and that's what's hard, because it's a different kind of tangible. That's what makes it really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel her presence?
I mean, sometimes I think about her a lot, but there's some times where I'm just like, I'll say something like, watch over us, or I wish you were here right now, or I feel like I feel her presence sometimes, or I'll see something like when I go visit her, like it's not even windy and her little wind chimes are blowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't know if it's her presence or not.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. She's telling me that, that she's there, of course, and that you are picking those things up, but you are kind of tossing them out and kind of poo-pooing them and saying, oh, that is, and so what happens is your ego comes in and says, come on, that's not what's happening. So pay attention to those things. If all of a sudden, out of the blue, you start thinking about her, that is her right there. She's sending you energies and vibes to say, I'm right here. You're safe. We still have that connection, like Shauna said. But it's just a different way. So it's just a matter of you tuning into that and finding out what that is. And then once you find that, really hone in on it, because she's leaving you clues all the time.
Mm-hmm. And I would pay attention, like the next couple 2 to 3 days and see, because I feel like she's going to give you a new sign of something that you haven't seen before that's going to tie into the other signs. Just pay attention. You could be walking and find a penny, or maybe there'll be like a leaf that'll pop out at you, or a flower, or something like that. Or a feather. Just pay attention to those signs, because those are messages from them as well, like things that we, pay attention to, like that just come to us out of the blue. It's like, oh wait, why am I tuning into that? It could be, if you think of them right away, it's usually a sign from them. So
right, and pay attention to. She's showing me a bird. So pay attention to the birds that are around you, and watch how they react around you. If you have a bird or something that comes up to you and kind of looks at you, there's something around birds, though, that you need to be paying attention to with her when it's regards to her.
Birds. Okay. I just sometimes I wonder what it'd be like if she was still here, or I just think about her often, and I'm sure I know she's doing good and smiling down, but I'm always wondering, like, does she have anything to say? How will we even know? Or could she tell us anything? I don't know.
She's telling me that you need to live your life. You're holding back, and she's saying that you need to step out of that box and you need to start living your life again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Are you picking
absolutely?
up?
I see that 100% too. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, that same thing. And it's not always easy. Maybe it might help if you journal about her. Maybe write some little stories, or make like a little scrapbook of pictures or something like that, and write some stories with it. That might, that can be very healing to do that. So, yeah.
Can I ask, how long has she been gone?
Oh, she's been gone about 17 years.
Okay. But I feel like for some reason that, and I think it could be just the bond that you guys are having, but I feel like it hasn't been that long. So I think what she's showing me is that you are still kind of trapped in that time warp, and so she's encouraging you to release that, because until you can release that, you can't really live your life. You're kind of putting everything on hold. And she says it's time to get up and dance.
Yes, I love it. Dance, do it. Dance. Dance like nobody's watching. Do it like you would with your sister, because I feel like that she was just like, who cares, Like, just do it. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. I feel like that she wants you to remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So maybe go do something fun this weekend, Just go take yourself out and do something fun that, Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Well, I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Is there any other questions that we can answer for you?
I really don't know what to ask. That was my biggest thing about my sister, and wanting to see how she was doing, or if there was anything you could tell me. Other than that, not really.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling in.
Okay, well, thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank
night.
you.
Wow, it's so powerful. I mean, that totally goes with what we were talking about earlier, about the connection of people, and how we can, how we have connections with so many different people, and what that can do.
Even people you haven't met. Like I have one of my best friends, her grandfather that she never met. They have a connection, like something that she likes and interested were things that he likes too. It's very interesting. It's like they have that, there's always that connection. It's really interesting, even if you never met the person, there's always that energetic connection is powerful. Yeah.
Oh yeah. My dad's grandfather, and in fact, one of his sisters, we didn't really see them all that much because they lived in the Midwest and we lived on the West Coast. So when I was growing up, we'd only get to see them maybe once every 3 years, maybe 5 years. I mean, it wasn't a lot. But when we got together, there was that energetic connection between my grandfather and I and this one particular aunt. And I never could figure out what that was. But of course, as you get older, you figure that out. But, just because you don't live right next to somebody or see them all the time or talk to them on the phone, it has nothing to do with that energetic connection. It's just there.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Powerful stuff, that's for sure. It's pretty cool. And I definitely invite people, if you want to know more, gosh, even if you know about your relatives, oh my goodness, do one of those DNA things. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating to find out what comes up. It's really cool. It's like the best thing that I could get before my birthday. It's so amazing, because I've wanted to know this for, I can't even tell you how many years. It's just like a part of me just feels so much more complete now, having more answers coming my way. It's really cool. So, yeah.
Right, because you were feeling that energetic connection, or maybe that loss of that energetic connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that piece of it just really makes it, really completes the story. It completes you.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, it's so powerful. And I'm remembering things, from where I grew up that I haven't thought about in years. It's like, wow, it's interesting how it all comes to play. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you have opened up a complete doorway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that usually, that happens a lot when people do that. They open up this doorway and information just totally floods in.
Mm-hmm.
And it opens up a whole new perspective.
It does. That's so cool. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Wow, it's amazing. We're coming down to the end of our show. So thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to get in touch with Shauna and have your pet read or have a special reading for your pet, get a hold of her on Facebook at Nature's Keeper. And you can always contact us at yourtimetoshine or yourintuitivementors.com. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.